This is pretty bad. A lot of people have asked me to show clips of the tiny house build, and I've went back and forth about doing it. I did a previously recorded video. It wasn't even a video that I posted before. It was just something that I recorded back in the, well, maybe a year ago in the springtime. So the leaves were different colors, and it was a canning video. And I thought, well, that's pretty generic. Everybody shouldn't care what season it was filmed in. But boy, I bet I got 100 complaints about doing a video out of season. Everything's supposed to be a sequential order. I was busy that day. I actually had an emergency we had to take care of. Nothing serious, but it was something we had to take care of. So I thought, well, I'll just post that previous recorded video. I even put on the video previously recorded so everybody knew it was out of order, but they didn't like it. So I don't think I want to take the risk of posting clips of the tiny house build, although I really would like to. It sounds pretty intriguing, but you can go to my channel, you go to playlist, and you'll see a bunch of different video topics, canning videos, and well, then there's a tiny house build video. What the complaint is there's so many videos, people don't want to watch them all. It took me months to build it, so there's probably 150 videos of me building a tiny house. I don't know how many there is, but there's a lot. So the people don't want to watch that many. They just want me to put it together for them. But I just don't know if it's a good idea. I'd rather not upset a bunch of people in hopes of gaining a few. But I will tell you, I'm starting to get comments about some of the things I have said in current videos about what's going on in the world that people tell me are not true. And then they'll guide me somewhere to prove their point, and turns out that what they guided me to was wrong. But it did bring me to an idea about the tiny house. You may remember, if you've been watching this channel for any length of time, that we built the tiny house during the pandemic. We came here, I believe, the week before the lockdowns happened. So we were here 30 days and couldn't move. We just got here. I was setting up solar panels, had to get the well pump installed. I wasn't even sure if hardware stores were open. We had a local mom and pop hardware store. I guess they were allowed to stay open, but the restaurants around here all closed, and whatever food we had was what we had to stick with. Because I just wasn't sure what we could do. Of course, we didn't have a lot of information back then. We didn't even have reliable internet. Right now we use AT&T hotspot. Well, we use our phone, and then the phone provides a hotspot so we can watch YouTube videos now. But back then we had Verizon, and Verizon, there is no signal out here with it, so we had very limited information. When we started building the tiny house, we were able to use a lot of the materials from the house. So when we started building the floor, I think it was springtime when we started building the floor, we were able to use the materials from the trailer. I said a tiny house, but I meant trailer. There used to be a mobile home here, and we tore it down. And a lot of the 2x4s that were the floor joists on the mobile home, we used for the tiny house. But as we started getting into the project, lumber prices were going through the roof. And I said several times that there was a lumber shortage. Oh no, there's not. There's no lumber shortage. What it was is the timber companies, the companies that come out and do the logging. They cut down a tree, they put it on the back of the truck, and they move it out to a sawmill. They were still in business, but the sawmills were. Now, the sawmills, I don't know if they were shut down by law or rules or whatever, but what was happening is a lot of people were getting sick at the sawmills and couldn't work. Well, that meant hardware stores like Home Depot were running low on wood, 2x4s and 2x6s. And the prices were going through the roof. And of course, people were saying, no, they're not. No, they're not. You go over here, go over there. I remember I called Dad and I said, man, the prices are crazy around here. So he got online. He lives in Florida. And he looked at Home Depot and he said, oh, no, the board's like whatever they were. Let's say they were $275 or something. No, they're $275 a piece around here. Don't worry about it. So he went over to Lowe's website and he says, huh, that's strange. They don't have any. Wonder why? Because there's a shortage, Dad. Oh, okay, I see. Now remember, he was building a house the same time I was. He'd been doing it a long time. And he got to the point where he had to just stop for a while because the prices got so high. Plywood was like, $1,000 a piece. I'm using it's exaggeration. All the while, people are telling me, no, I was wrong. Prices aren't going up. So what Carolyn did was she was able to find a lot of the materials off Facebook Marketplace. Underneath the metal here is OSB. It's like plywood, particle board, you know, it's OSB is what it is. She was able to find a guy who was selling a bunch of it off Facebook Marketplace, and it was like $7 a sheet or something crazy. It was a great price, especially compared to Home Depot. The other thing you had to remember is I was trying to do it on a budget, $500 a month. Once we figured out how many pieces we need, that put us over budget. It wasn't that we couldn't afford it, it just was we had this budget of what we wanted to stick to. So I went over budget, and then we had to skip a month and then do another month to stay on budget. A lot of people criticize me for staying on budget that tightly. Oh, what difference make? You're gonna have to spend the money eventually. But we wanted to do it on a budget. That's just how we wanted to do it. So she got the OSB and all the windows and the door, all that is used. The metal I was able to have delivered. And then there was just the 2x4s. I hunted around for 2x4s and 2x6s. 2x6s was the other thing. Now, fast forward. What is it, 3 years later? And I have been talking about chickens and eggs. As you know, Carolyn and I are carnivores. We only eat meat and eggs. And we're really trying very hard just to be egg eaters. Now, I understand a lot of people don't agree with that, and if you write your complaints down there, I'm just not going to listen to them. I understand your argument. I used to be a regular person where I just ate everything that I'm supposed to eat. I was sick. I had asthma. My shoulders were getting arthritis or something. I was in bad shape. So now that I'm eating a carnivorous diet and I'm healthy, I'm told that that's bad for me. So I'm going to eat food that is bad for me so I feel good, feel healthy. We have 17 chickens currently, 16 because we lost the rooster. And prior to that, we had 9 more, but a dog attacked those. We're getting about 7 or 8 eggs a day. Occasionally, we get a spike in them. We get 13 eggs. So I've been reporting to you different things that are going on that has us backyard chicken farmers concerned. One of the things that has come up is chicken feed. I know I've talked about this in the past, but stick with me here. Chicken feed, there is a theory. I don't want to use the word theory, but I don't have a better word. That Tractor Supply suppliers are selling Tractor Supply stores chicken feed that has low protein. So people's chickens are not producing eggs at all. Well, initially there was a lot of YouTubers came on and said that's because they all went into molt. In the wintertime, you don't get as many eggs. But people were saying, I know this, I've been doing this for 20 years. I've always gotten some eggs. I've never gotten no eggs. And I understand that argument. You know, people always want to say they're smarter than you. Well, when you got YouTubers, big time YouTubers saying, no, you're wrong, it's the chicken's molt season. A lot of these people who were being called liars made videos themselves. And this one person called Tractor Supply and Purina and a whole bunch of different places, and she ended up doing an experiment, and she found that when she gave her chickens homemade chicken food, they started producing eggs, yet the other ones, the ones that she kept on the Tractor Supply food, were not. Well, I've had subscribers now tell me they've done the same thing. One lady says she wasn't getting any eggs. Now she's getting like 14 a day. When she switched over to sunflower seeds, that's what Carolyn uses, is sunflower seeds. Again, a lot of people saying, oh, that's just not true. You know, they're talking about this molt. It's got to be the molt. Why would a company do that? Well, there's a lot of reasons why a company would do that. So Carolyn and I want to increase our flock size. I've said in the past that we want to have 3 age groups. We want to have a new hatchling age group, then we want to have a 2-year-old age group and a 3-year-old age group. We want to have 3 age groups. So the oldest would get butchered in the fall. Then in the spring, we would get a new age group. That way that new age group will produce eggs through the fall and the winter. Then the second year, they would stop for the molt, of course, but then they would pick back up probably in about the January time frame. That way we're always getting eggs all year round, non-stop, and we would never be feeding chickens that are not producing well. After the 3rd year, chickens stop producing so very good. Then we get to butcher them, and then we'll have the chicken meat. We wanted to buy Leghorns because they produce so many eggs per year. They're the highest producers or something like that. we got to looking into it, and there's just no Leghorns available until like July. Now here's the key is if you buy chicks in July or June or too late in the season, they won't produce through the winter. So you're feeding chickens through the winter that are not producing. Plus we have the 17 or 16 next year that won't be producing either. So you're feeding a bunch of chickens that aren't producing. So Carolyn and I decided, well, we'll just see if we can find something else. And of course, a lot of people told me, oh no, you can find Leghorns here, or you can find these other breeds here and they produce as many. And they weren't. Just got an email yesterday telling me to go to this one website, they got Leghorns. What it is they say hatch date, that they got a hatch date available in March or May, perfect time to get chicks. But then when you go to look for availability, they're out. That means all the chickens they're gonna hatch for that date have already been sold. So the earliest that we can find, even on the sites that people are telling me to go to, is July. Now the other thing is I'm not a big fan of having chickens sent through the mail. We did that the first set we got, the very first set. We got it in February through Tractor Supply, I believe. No, it was Tractor Supply. They emailed me and I emailed them back and said, I'm concerned about you sending them through the mail. It's cold here. And they said that the post office would call us when the chickens arrived. I said, I don't think our post office is going to call us. Why would they do that? Oh no, they're by contract, they have to. Well, sure enough, they put them in the car. It was like -6 outside. The guy had his windows rolled down when he pulled up and he said, I don't know if these guys are alive. They're not moving around like they were up at the post office. So he'd been driving around all morning with his windows open, and they froze to death. I just felt terrible for those little chicks. Well, then we decided that we were gonna get Rhode Island Reds or New Hampshires or something. They don't produce quite as much, but they still produce a lot. Well, I mean, I can't tell you how many times people have told me I am wrong. Here's the deal. There are elites out there. One of them used to own a software company, and they have invested in fake eggs or something or another. And we also have pharmaceutical companies who don't want us to eat eggs. They're doing all these fake studies saying that the chicken eggs are this and that. Well, so that means a lot of people are going out and buying chickens because that's the only way they can get eggs. Egg prices are through the roof at the store. What choice do we have? So it is difficult to get chickens right now. So we are going to keep a close eye on our little farm store, Ursulines. So if you'll click this up next box, take you to a video where I was talking about losing our electric. So I hope I can inspire you to think ahead so you can get your chicken eggs, so you can live your dreams. Thanks for watching.